I'm back again with another video, and today we're going to be talking about the Denver Nuggets and whether they're going to make it to the NBA Finals. So the Denver Nuggets sit at the top of the Western Conference with a 41-18 record. They have the best three-point record in the NBA along with the Nets at 39.2%, and they're being led by Nikola Jokic, who's averaging a triple-double. Currently he's averaging 24.7 points, 11.5 rebounds and 10.1 assists. He's shooting 63% from the field and 39% from three-point range. He's having an amazing season, and he was selected an All-Star recently, which was no surprise. He's been able to showcase his skills at an elite level whilst also winning games for his team, which is something that you'll find with only the best players in the league. The Denver Nuggets also have additional players with like Aaron Gordon, who's averaging 17.3 points and 6.9 rebounds while shooting 58.7% from the field and 39.7% from three-point range. They also have Michael Porter Jr., the 6'10" forward, is scoring at the moment 16.8 points and is shooting 40.6% from three-point range. Jamal Murray, their point guard, is scoring 20.2 points. He's got 4.1 rebounds and has 5.8 assists. He's also shooting 39.6% from three-point range. So they have a key group of great players who are playing at a high level, who are helping Nikola Jokic collect more assists, which can't be a bad thing for Nikola, but it also helps the team. And you can say that they've got, out of these four players, they're all averaging above 15 points, which is something amazing. And they're also shooting above 39% from three-point range, which means they're knocking down shots from long distance. So it's very hard to guard these players because they're not just shooting from close range, but they're also spreading the floor, creating space in the interior. Once you create space in the interior, it creates space for other players to attack, for some post play for DeAndre Jordan, for some other players who they've added who I'll talk about later. And it just allows the game to run more smoothly and not be stagnant. So that's a key thing for the team. So the key question is, can they win against other top teams? So in the past, you could say that they've suffered from injuries and they didn't have certain additional players. Like in the past, they didn't have Aaron Gordon. They recently acquired him. And you could say that they didn't have all the pieces yet for them to beat the top teams. But now I feel like they have the pieces. So with them pieces, I just believe they can go all the way. In the past, they didn't have the pieces that they needed for them to win against bigger teams. For example, they didn't have Aaron Gordon. And I feel like with the addition of Aaron Gordon, it will help the team greatly, as he also spaces the floor. He's also a great rebounder, and he's a player that draws attention from the defense, from the opposing defense, which is something that you want because it takes attention away from players like Nikola Jokic, away from players like Michael Porter Jr., and also from Jamal Murray, which allows you to have more freedom on the offensive end for you to attack the defense and for you to score points. So I feel like every player on the court is a threat rather than just one or two players being a threat, because you have more players who are scoring, more players who are rebounding, and more players who are assisting. And the defense has to account for those players. He has to find ways to stop them players from being effective. And if the defenders have one player that they're guarding each, that means that it's more difficult for them to double team. Because if they double team, they leave a player that's open. And if they leave a player that's open, that player could potentially score. But with this type of team you see in the Denver Nuggets, you see that they're very hard to guard, they're very hard to stop. And this can go a long way for the team. In the first round, the Denver Nuggets could be playing a top team. You got a couple top teams in the lower end of the seedings at the moment. You have the Warriors. The Warriors have a 29-29 record in the moment, and you could quite easily be playing them in the first round. And I don't think that's something that the Denver Nuggets want, but it could possibly happen, and they have to be prepared for it, because last season they lost against the Warriors, and it was a series that if they had their players, they could have possibly won. That draws me to my next point about them being healthy. Last season they didn't have Jamal Murray, and they also lost Michael Porter Jr. in the season due to injury. So they'll definitely need these players if they want to compete at a high level and reach the conference finals and also reach the NBA finals. They'll need these players on the court because they draw attention and they also allow the team to just run smoothly. They have a lot of team depth, but if they're not able to stay healthy, that will count for nothing. So they just need to stay healthy and stay together, and they can do great things. One thing that I didn't like about the trade deadline that happened recently was that they traded Bones Highland. I thought Bones Highland was a key player on the team. I felt like he spaced the floor. He was a good secondary point guard that came off the bench and did his thing. He did his role. But I guess some conflict happened between him and the coach, and something happened between them. And that led to, I think he wanted more playing time. And that led to some conflict, and then he had to be traded. But I wish if that relationship hadn't been scarred by what went on, I wish they could have worked things out and he could have stayed, because he was a key piece to the puzzle and could have definitely helped them in the playoff run, because he hits big time shots and not many players can hit big time shots like the way he did. So I hope they figure it out. But they did gain a great player in Thomas Bryant. I feel Thomas Bryant is very underrated as a player, because he does a lot of things. Like, he rebounds, he defends, he can score from 3-point range, he can score he can score from many positions, and he's averaging just above 11 points, and he's playing good basketball. He played good basketball for the LA Lakers and helped them in great ways, but they felt that they didn't need him anymore. But I definitely think that this is a even better position for him to succeed, as he will be required to fill in gaps in the Denver Nuggets rotation that I feel like he'll meet the challenge, and he'll meet expectations, and he'll do very well. So I feel like with the team that the Denver Nuggets have currently, I feel like they can do great things. They've only lost 18 games, so they've been pretty consistent. It's just whether they can figure it out when it comes to playoff time. Will they be healthy? Will they be able to come together as a team? And will they be able to successfully beat bigger teams, the best teams? Because in the Western Conference, you have a lot of great teams. Will they be able to make a plan for each team and execute that plan to the best of their abilities? That's what it will come down to. So we just gotta wait and see. And I'm looking forward to the playoffs, and I'm looking forward to where they'll fall, and where and how far they can take it in the playoffs. That's all for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. Like, comment, and subscribe, and hopefully you come back for more content.